Revolution Radio.
The journey begins to fun, health, and freedom.
Narco-syndicalist commune. We take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week.
Yes.
But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting.
Yes, I see.
By a simple majority in the case of purely internal affairs.
Be quiet.
But by a two-thirds majority in the case of more...
Be quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left.
Yes, I have. Look!
It's just a flesh wound.
I don't believe I've seen such a display of courage, skill, nerve, grace, and stupidity.
I'll do you for that. Oh, what? Come here. What are you going to do, bleed on me? I'm invincible.
You're a loony.
The Black Knight always triumphs.
Roundtable Live, Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us. Here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. All right, thanks for listening while we take that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you back to Ohio Exopolitics. I'm your host, Mark Snyder, and our guest is David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave, who's taken the internet by storm. I think I've watched 100 of his programs at least. Dave, how are you doing this evening?
You only watched 100? That's not even a fraction of a percent.
I know, probably true. So you want to tell people a little bit about your story, how you got so involved in this, how it's taken over your life and all that good stuff?
It certainly has. I'll keep it brief because those of you that know me have heard the story a million times. I was a normal person, grew up on the East Coast, went to college, went to corporate America, left corporate America, started my own business. Everything's going great. I have the quote-unquote American dream. It's all working out, everything, married, kids. And for fun, I started, I kind of started waking up to truth. So there was the first thing was the Federal Reserve and what is money, and that's what really got me going. And then 9/11 happened, and I started a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole just for fun, looking at conspiracies. And we kind of made it two truth seekers and a comedian that tried to turn everything into a fart joke. And it was a good formula, took off, got huge, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, people started emailing me, Dave, have you looked into flat Earth? And at first I just laughed at that idea. So that I don't get the joke. It's so stupid. And then they kept coming, and I would ban those people from ever commenting on any of our stuff again because they're just too stupid to listen to a comedy conspiracy podcast if they think the Earth is flat. And then it wasn't until Sophia Smallstorm, a researcher that I met through the 9/11 investigation, that she said she thought the Earth was flat. And that's what made me look. And I went in with a closed mind, not as an open-minded skeptic. I went in with a closed mind. I'm just going to prove you flat-tards wrong and prove the globe and be done with this. And for the next 2 weeks, changed my life forever because all the things that I thought proved the globe were pseudoscience, were nonsense. And half of them actually prove the flat Earth when you really understand what you're seeing, what you're looking at. So then it started getting bigger and bigger, and I started the Flat Earth podcast, and now that was taken off. And then I realized the thing that everyone's programmed to say, the opposite, and the thing that they're all programmed to say is, well, why would they lie? What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. We all said it. Everyone says it. Any smart person actually says it when they're hearing all of the, objections to the globe idea. So I realize, what difference does it make? It doesn't change my life at all is the big thing. And the truth is, it's the biggest thing that will change your life forever. The fact that you don't think that it matters that just shows what a great job the, quote unquote elite have done brainwashing the masses to thinking that it doesn't matter if you don't know who you are, where you are, or the power of your mind. It doesn't matter if we're hiding all sorts of technology, resources, advanced medicines, all sorts of stuff. It doesn't matter if we shorten your life, if we restrict your movements. It doesn't matter if we tell you that there's only 1% of what, of the actual world available to you, but we're going to just show you 1% and that's it, So I decided to walk away from everything I had worked my entire life for, to go out and talk to people like yourself and talk to other people that think it's the dumbest thing ever, like I did. And I've been on well over 1,000 interviews in the last 3 years, and they're coming in hot. I'm booked out through, into deep March already. So there's my story.
Yeah. And you have a very good speaking voice. It's even more emphasized.
What's funny? What's funny? It's because I have a really good microphone. Because I hate my voice. I hate talking on the microphone. I hate being on camera, and I hate speaking publicly. And that's what I do for a living. I mean, that's not what I do for a living. It's what I do. The thing is, people are like, oh, you're doing this for the money. There's no money in this when I started, and it's not about the money. But we all live in this world where we're living on a fake globe, on their fake map, and we're using their fake fiat currency. And, we need that to operate in this world. But that's all changing. It's changing rapidly. The way to wake the world up is to literally and relentlessly put truth in their face. And that's kind of what I'm doing. How I got here, I'm not sure.
How do your wife and kids feel about flat Earth?
So my wife, she's awesome. She totally gets it. She's on board 1,000%. And it's not, it's not about believing the Earth is flat. We don't believe the Earth is flat. We know it's not a globe. We know it's a level, horizontal, non-rotating plane, and we know that we don't know a ton about it. We don't know a lot of stuff. Globe people think they know everything. They know absolutely nothing. They don't even know their own model. Flat earthers know more about the globe model. If a globe believer knew 1/10 of what flat earthers know about the heliocentric nonsensical system, they would be flat earthers. Because you don't need to study flat earth to become a flat earther. You need to study the globe and ask yourself, well, how do they know the sun is 93 million miles away? How do they know the radius of the earth? How come when we measure for curvature, there is none? How come when we measure for axial rotation, there is none? How come all of the declassified documents from the FAA and NASA and the FBI say that they treat the world as a flat, non-rotating plane when they're doing all of their tests and experiments? Okay? How come they tell us the truth and everybody ignores it? And it's because we've all been brainwashed before we could think. Nobody likes having their ball taken away. If I told you that, your significant other wasn't who they said they were, you'd have a hard time believing it because people don't like change like that. But when you say, hey, by the way, the foundation that you stand up every day when you get out of bed on isn't what you think it is. And all of those movies about space and Star Wars and Star Trek and everything else that we all love,
right. I agree.
Because that's not even a possibility. It's not even a possibility. I mean, I grew up, I love Star Trek and Star Wars and everything. But when you look into these movies, they're actually telling you the truth, but they're wrapping it around the wrong model. They're putting it into heliocentric space.
So do the people that run our world, do they hate God?
It sure appears that way. The ones that we're dealing with, I mean, yeah, they hate God. They hate, they treat us as, just animals. They're trying to depopulate the world right now. And, they're doing everything they can to limit us, just starting with the simplest thing at all. They put fluoride in our water and in our toothpaste. It makes you dumb. It dumbs you down. Harvard did an experiment where they gave kids fluoride treatments and their IQ points dropped immediately, several points. Okay. And they're like, oh, this is perfect. Let's just give everyone fluoride until it's good for their teeth, right? We'll give it to babies before they even have teeth. Fluoridated water. That way, one day when they get teeth, they'll be extra strong. Here's the thing, they say, go big or go home, make the lie so big that you can't, you just can't see the forest from the trees. This lie is so huge that people just like, I can't believe it. They can't even keep a blowjob a secret in the White House, but that's another psyop. That's a pre-programmed thing, right? They make it look like the government can't keep a secret. Well, the government can keep a secret. The putzes that we call the government, these are just the puppets of the real controllers of the world.
It's interesting you brought up fluoride because I'm using this toothpaste now. It's called Burt Bees or something. It has the strangest name.
Burt Bees, yeah.
Yeah.
I use it.
Okay. Yeah,
I use all different types. I use everything from, when I'm lazy, Tom's non-fluoridated natural toothpaste to the Burt Bees, whatever it's called. I also make my own. You can make your own toothpaste.
Really?
Some other truthers make toothpaste with, activated charcoal, coconut oil, what's the powder? Baking soda, and some mint and some mint oil, and that's phenomenal toothpaste, amazing. But they don't want you to know that. You can't make your own toothpaste. You got to buy it from the big guys.
It's interesting having a discussion with your dentist about this kind of stuff. God. I do. I bring it up. I will.
Yeah, no, I do too. My dentist is like, all right, I know, no fluoride. And but their whole life is built around this lie, and they just can't see it. Now there are dentists out there that are awake to it, and to find a holistic dentist like that is what you really need to do. They don't tell you that you can heal your teeth. Your teeth can heal.
That's great. That's really good. What about Jack Parsons? He was one of the principal founders of the JPL, right?
Yeah, the whole NASA JPL thing with Werner von Braun, the Nazi scientist that we brought over from Russia, that's another psyop, right? There was no space program other than the fake space program. There was no competing space program. It was, we brought over the Russian, Nazi rocket engineers to run our rockets, and everyone's like, I guess we could forgive them for, their alleged atrocities. Because they're now going to, run Lockheed Grumman here and NASA and everything else. It's all a psyop. They're all in on it. They're all on the same team. Hard for people to believe because they're, mentally, emotionally attached to the Cold War. But let me ask you a question. How many people died in the Cold War? How many battles were there? I'll give you a hint.
0.
The answer is between 0 and 0.
0. Yeah.
Yeah, 0. It's all a psyop. The whole thing is a psyop. This whole thing now with the Chinese balloon, we've launched many balloons. Our main balloon guy, Dwayne Kellum, who's launched many, many balloons, he looked at the balloon, he goes, that balloon can't get to the altitude that they're saying, and there's no way it could make it from China. It's the wrong balloon. They used the wrong balloon. And the fact that people are looking up at the sky and seeing it, you think you could look up at the sky and see a balloon at 120,000 feet? When you look up at a 747 at a fraction of that height, you could barely see it? The answer is no. That thing was maybe 10,000 feet. It's the wrong kind of balloon. It's some psyop, whether it was just one of their balloon, satellite, satelloons we call them, that got a little too low, or it's a complete and total psyop to distract the world and make them think that, maybe satellites are better on balloons. Well, satellites are on balloons.
So you always say there's really no satellites that are launched by rockets, correct?
Think about this. You ever play with a top when you're a kid, or a gyroscope, right? And you spin it up, and it kind of wobbles, it kind of moves, it kind of goes out of sync a little bit, right? So we're on a lumpy rock. You know, the Earth is a lumpy rock, surrounded by water, which just happens to become spherical, surrounded by air, which becomes spherical, and it's adjacent to a void. Scientifically impossible. Let's just pretend that's going on. We're spinning, and we're falling around a distant gas ball that's so big, has so much gravity it can hold on to the Earth. We're falling around it at a tilted angle, right, for billions of years, and that tilt never changed at all. When all these other planets come in alignment with the Earth and everything, how come we don't just move just a little bit, you know? Nobody even understands what the three-body problem is. The three-body problem is scientists can, in a computer, best computers in the world, can put two masses orbiting each other, and they can predict where they're going to be forever. They add a third mass in, and all of a sudden the thing goes into chaos mode. They can't figure out what it's going to do, after a very short period of time, a few seconds or whatever it is. And that's three bodies. Well, our solar system has hundreds of bodies, with all the different moons and it's insane to believe that the sky works like a perfect clock, right? So now we're corkscrewing through space. We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So let's pretend I'm a geosynchronous orbit. That's a piece of machinery thrown out of a spaceship that is going to stay directly above the United States, okay? So it's got to be, and they're not in zero gravity. They're falling, but they're moving forward at the same rate as the curvature of the Earth. This is what an orbit is. People don't realize this, okay? So if So as it moves forward, falling towards the Earth, if every time it falls a mile, it's moved a mile, so it stays in the same spot over the United States. So it's got to be right at that perfect distance, right over the United States. Now the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. This thing is moving faster than 1,000 miles an hour because it's a much bigger radius where it is, and it's staying over the United States. Okay, now we've got that motion. Now the Earth is orbiting around the sun in an elliptical orbit, speeding up and slowing down. So it's spinning. While it's spinning, it's orbiting, and while it's orbiting, it's chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour. So now it's corkscrewing through space, trying to stay exactly over the United States because it's a geostationary satellite looking at the United States, right? And those orbits are speeding up and slowing down. We get closer to the sun in our winter, weird, and then we whip around the sun and we go back. But somehow that satellite mimics all of those motions. The problem is, most people listening to this that aren't already flat earthers have short-circuited. Their brains can't calculate that because they were never taught to think about all of those things. They were just taught to memorize heliocentric nonsense. And if you memorize it, you got an A, you got some endorphins, yay, I got an A, and you feel good, and now it's a permanent memory, some pseudoscience nonsense. The idea that satellites are falling around the Earth, staying in perfect, perfect position and transmitting messages. The whole idea, that we have GPS from satellites. Well, first, GPS were by satellites. We'd have GPS everywhere. But it's funny that there's no GPS in remote areas. There's no GPS over the southern oceans, right? They're adding all different things, to assist with ground-based positioning, towers. They're adding, balloons and airplanes and drones and buoys, and and they're making it more comprehensive. But when you fly from California to Hawaii, most of that flight, you're in a no radar, no GPS zone because you're too far from any land. Okay? So once people actually look into this and realize that there are no satellites, then the whole thing unwinds on itself. Sorry for that long answer.
Oh, no, that's fine. Do you believe there's a dome around the Earth?
So this is a touchy subject. I always say anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica or 60 degrees south, which doesn't even reach Antarctica because that's where no one's allowed to independently explore all of the southern ocean, and as high as we can get. The highest we've got as amateurs is 72 miles, where the Go Fast rocket apparently hit something. We have NASA whistleblowers, again, unnamed, and they seem credible, that talked about how it does get thicker and thicker starting at 72 miles, and then it turns into something solid. You have all of the religious texts that talk about a hard, fast, glass-like dome. You have Libyan's desert glass, which may or may not have come from the dome. You have stories, you have stuff in encyclopedias from the 1950s talking about in the south at 85 degrees south, the dome is 13,000 feet, the dome. And then there's all these regions of Antarctica that these mountains that are called, these areas are called Dome A, Dome B, Dome C. Why are they calling them domes, right? And then the question is, why did they remove all of this stuff from encyclopedias? Why did they remove it from the libraries, from the classrooms? Why did they remove it? Why are they hiding it? Why aren't they telling you that they removed it? Okay? They're not. So do I believe that there's a dome? Yeah, I kind of do believe there's a dome. I don't know what it's made out of. I don't know if there's any exits through it. I kind of think that there is. And if I had to guess, just me, Flat Earth Dave talking, I think that there's a superdome over all of the other ponds, which may have their own energetic domes. They're some sort of dome that contains us. But I also think that, if you believe that we're in a dome, you're locking yourself into a prison. I think there's ways in and out of it, and it might be consciousness levels. You can't pass through the dome unless you're at a certain frequency. And if you're a low vibrating monster, you're stuck here in hell we call Earth.
Have you heard about
Earth is hell, but it is a training school, in my opinion.
Yeah. Have you heard about this ice, this blue ice?
Blue ice, yeah.
Well,
so
it's really cold, isn't it?
Well, a lot of researchers are talking about it, and one whistleblower that was in Antarctica that said that the real ice that they're researching down there is the sky. They call it sky ice, and it's this sky blue ice. That's why they call it sky ice. And they think it's made from frozen oxygen. I'm not 100% sure on that. Mm-hmm. And they said that's the ice that they're really doing, except when like National Geographic or whenever a film team comes to film them, then they dig into just the regular glacial ice, and they do a bird and pony show, a dog and pony show for that. And then when they leave, they go back to this other ice, and this ice doesn't melt; it shrinks and it disappears. Kind of like dry ice goes from a solid to a gas. Well, this goes from a solid to a gas, I guess. And it needs to be so cold that you can't even transport it off of Antarctica because it'll be gone before you get anywhere. There's the one story is that the whistleblower said that they were drilling into a mountain in the far outskirts of Antarctica. Well, that mountain might be the dome terminating to the earth, and they're just calling it a mountain. And they drilled in for miles with this tunneling machine. And then they noticed behind them the ice was slowly regrowing back, like healing. And so the tunnel was too small for the machine to get out. And after a while, they abandoned it, and then they left it, and the whole thing closed up. And now there's a tunneling machine miles inside of this mountain or dome. Who knows? Because we're not there. Here's the thing. Anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. However, I like to speculate. I like to look at evidence. I like to look at books. I like to look at old religions. I like to hear all of the old stories. And there's so many of them talking about land beyond Antarctica. But what we want is the right to explore Antarctica. We want airships back. That's the way to do it, right? I personally think that there are cargo ships making trips beyond Antarctica to lands where there's probably advanced civilizations where we're trading technology. We went from not having TVs in the 1940s to having computer chips that can do incredible things in no time, right? In less than 100 years. Like, where did these chips come from? Where did this technology come from? Personally, I think that there's way more advanced people here on Earth, maybe within our pond, maybe in the extra territory beyond Antarctica. Wasn't
there another area that was found that a guy wrote a book about, and it's called Iron something? I can't remember.
The Iron Republic, yeah. No, politician that got tired of all the nonsense, sold everything out of New York, bought a ship, went down with a crew to Antarctica. They found an opening. They kind of went into the opening. There was a strong current. They navigated through it. Now they're back in the ocean. They were lost for a couple of months at sea. They couldn't figure out where they were. The stars weren't right. Then they saw land. Then they saw a city, but the city was silent. And they're like, where's the noise? And then a ship came out. It's like, hey, we're from America. Where are we? And they say, well, this is the Iron Republic. And they're like, where's that? He goes, well, it's on the other side of Antarctica, equal to where you come from, on the other side, on the other side of the ice wall or Antarctica, whatever they said. And so they went there. They lived there for years. The guy ended up getting married to a woman there. Something happened. She died. He got distraught. He got his ship back, and he went back to Florida, and he told his story. Now, whether this is true or not, and it super rings true to me, it doesn't matter, because they were talking about more land beyond Antarctica in the 1800s. Okay? Right? And here's the funny thing. He wrote a series of articles, saying that about this in Florida Magazine. You can't find a single copy of that magazine. Do we have to go to a break?
No. We go to a break at 5, so we got like a half an hour.
Okay, beautiful. All right, yeah. So you can't find a single copy of that magazine. Now with eBay, with the internet, you can find a copy of anything. Right? You can find a copy of anything. You can't find a single copy. The only thing you can find is like 1 or 2 issues as a PDF. And then, just like Admiral Byrd's diaries, the last, article that came out, the last chapter of his book was definitely written by somebody else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think that? That's quite interesting.
Well, because they don't want, they don't want the story out, so you have to change the story. And you can tell the writing style and everything. It makes absolutely no sense.
Doesn't fit at all.
Yeah. And it's called the Iron Republic. By the way, I have an app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's a $3 app, and Google is hiding all of this information from you. You Google Flat Earth, you're going to get nonsense. You Google my name, you're going to get nonsense. You're going to get, my so-called debate with the guy that calls himself Professor Dave, and the way he speaks, a lot of weak minds will go, oh my God, he destroyed Flat Earth Dave. But then if you really look at it, you realize he had nothing but logical fallacies and ad homs. So you can't find, A Stranger's Guide from Flat Earth, 21 Questions. You type in the exact name of that very popular video, and you'll get all of the propaganda. So my app, which can be found at flatearthdave.com, will bypass all of that. And I tell people, once you learn about Flat Earth, you're going to want the app because anytime you're trying to tell someone about Flat Earth, they ask you a question, you go to the frequently asked question area, bam, the question's answered for you. All the resources in one place. And when you become a Flat Earther, the biggest complaint was, I'm a Flat Earther, I've lost a bunch of friends, my family won't talk to me, I'm lonely, I'm just looking for someone to talk to. I have on it a thing called the Friend Finder, where it locates all of the other Flat Earthers near you, and you can send them messages, you can look at profiles, you can do video calls, voice calls, text messaging, and you can do meetups, and you can send out a radius. Mark Sargent is actually doing a meetup in California, I think next week. Check his channel, marksargent.com, and I'm Mark Sargent on YouTube, and he's actually going to this meetup. But you can send out a radius to 50 to 100 kilometers and say all the blue dots in that area and say, hey, we're having a meetup. Boom, you've just reached the most awesome people ever. Because I've never met a blue dot I don't like.
Have you taken a picture where the sun appears in front of clouds?
So a lot of my presentations, I do show some videos of that, and and I always say, people say, does the sun go in front of the clouds? And my answer is yes and no, because the sun that we see is not a physical sun. It's not the real sun. It's not the source of the sun. A lot of people call the real sun the source sun, or the spirit sun, as Crow 777 Radio calls it. And what that is if you get a glass dome, a glass, paperweight dome or whatever, and hold a light above it, look inside the dome. That's the sun that we see. The real light is above the dome or within, if you can claim that it's within the thickness of the firmament. But So when we look up, we see the sun at a position apparent to ourselves. It's kind of like a rear projection, and under certain conditions, especially during a near total eclipse, you can see the source sun. You can see it because the sun that we see isn't so bright, it blinds you. So with that said, well, depending on your position and the weather and everything, where the sun, manifests for you, if that's the right word, sometimes there's clouds in front of it and behind it. It appears. So I have some shocking video that you can't deny that light is within the clouds. Okay.
Yeah.
It's definitely not 93 million miles away. But people say that's impossible. You can't have the sun there. Well, if the sun is not a physical thing and it's a projection, you can have it anywhere you want. And again, I'm not claiming to know what the sun is, how it works, or whatever. I'm claiming it's not a burning ball of gas 93 million miles away in a space vacuum, because that's scientifically impossible.
So I guess most flat Earth people, I would say that we don't really have space the way we think of space. Really, that there's water there, correct? Or not?
Yeah, I believe that space is liquid. All the evidence there, and NASA loves telling us the truth. They talk about the moon, the Sea of Tranquility. All of their ships have docks, and it's all nautical terms that they use. But again, we can't go up there, so we don't know. But I don't think anyone's been into space, because I don't think space exists. Go look at the moon when there's a near full moon in the day sky, or not even a half a moon, whatever, in the day sky. Look at it. The blue sky is behind the moon. Okay, the moon is a light within our atmos, and it's not a 250,000 miles away. It's ridiculous. The brightness of the moon is impossible at the brightness that we see it, because it would have to be, the farther a light is, the brighter it has to be for you to see it at a certain brightness. It's called the inverse square law. And for, if you look at the moon landings, which I hope everyone listening knows that never happened, but the moon, from standing on the moon, on the lit side of the moon, would have to be I think it's 60 times brighter than we see the sun from Earth for us to see the moon at the brightness that we see it here from Earth. It would have to be that bright to travel 250,000 miles so we can see it at the 1 lumen. But from the moon, it would have to be 100 million lumens, or whatever it is, whatever the crazy number is. And again, nobody can even imagine what a light twice as bright as the sun is, let alone 60 times.
What do you think about Joe Rogan?
I think Joe Rogan was a truth guy. He was the guy that was hammering the moon landings, and his famous quote is, "There's no way you can ever convince me that we went to the moon. There's no way." Then he had Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and then he went on a short vacation, and then he got a multi-million-dollar television deal, and he came back and goes, well, maybe the moon landing was fake, right? And so Joe Rogan was either best case scenario, brainwashed and hypnotized, or he sold out for money. I, tend to think it's number two, but, I'm not him. I don't know. I used to love some of the stuff Joe Rogan did, but he definitely sold out for money. And, and the fact that he won't address flat Earth, except with just stupid people saying stupid things and making straw man comments, that says it right there.
And sometimes he gets really angry about flat Earth stuff.
Yeah, because he does. It's like a child when you have them pinned in a lie and there's no way out. The only thing they can do is get angry because they have no ammo, right? I offer 3 Bitcoins if you take my Flat Earth Clock app challenge, right? Every day on my app, there's a new video. It's just short ones during the week, usually longer ones on the weekend sometimes. And just watch that video every day for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, if you think the Earth is a globe, send me the proof you win 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, check the frequently asked questions page, because there's a 99.999% chance that the question that you think is proving the globe has already been shown to prove the flat Earth. Okay? And I'm not saying people are lying. I'm saying people look at something, well, a boat goes over the horizon, therefore the Earth is curved. Well, if the Earth was curved and you could live on a spinning ball and water bent, and didn't lay flat like it does, then boats would disappear from the bottom up over the horizon. But what we can realize is that the reason boats and buildings and everything disappear from the bottom up is due to perspective and due to angular resolution limits of your eyes and due to the little waves in the foreground. Little waves in the foreground will hide entire cities in the background because the city's farther away, it's smaller, right? So when you look out over calm water, the sky ramps down to your eye level and the ground ramps up, right? And they meet at your eye level. Okay, and where they meet is the limit of your vision. It's the limit of your eye zone. Okay, and it's horizontal, so we call it the horizontal eye zone, the horizon. Okay, the horizon is the horizontal eye zone on a flat Earth. And when we get a super zoom camera, go get a P900 or P1000, Nikon camera, and which has a zoom better than most telescopes. Zoom in, and you can make that horizontal eye zone bigger so you can see farther, right? And boats that looked like they disappeared over the curve, there they are again. Okay, and they didn't disappear over the curve; they disappeared in your mind because your eyes just can't see them.
Yeah, why don't you talk a little bit about distance squared times inches or 8 inches, where you got 2 squared is 4 times 8 is 32, 32 inches for 2 miles. That's what.
So if we lived on a ball, there would be a physical horizon. They tell us the ball is 24,901 miles in circumference. Therefore, the closest calculation, which is extremely accurate, up to 1,000 miles, it's like literally within a couple of feet. There's like 4 different formulas, and they all come within a couple of feet, up to 1,000 miles. The problem is nobody can see 1,000 miles because the air's too thick. No matter what you have, I don't care if you have the Hubble telescope, times 10, you can't see that far because the atmosphere becomes opaque. So the formula is 8 inches per mile squared. In the first mile, the Earth will drop 8 inches. But think about that. You're drawing a line out. You're standing on top of the ball. You're drawing a horizontal line out from your feet. And after 1 mile, the Earth will drop away 8 inches. Go out straight out another mile. Well, the Earth is dropping faster and faster, so you have to square the inches. 2 times 2 is 4, times 8 is 32. 32 inches at 3 miles, it's 6 feet. That means a 6-foot-tall person standing in front of calm, flat water on a globe, weird, cannot see the surface of the water beyond 3 miles because the surface will have dropped below 6 feet and they can't see it. If you sat down, that horizon would be even closer. So let me ask you a question. If that's where the water meets the sky for you, when you watch the sunset over calm water, you would see the sun touching the water at just 3 miles away if you were standing, 2 miles away if you were sitting.
Wow.
Okay? So when you watch the sunset over water, is it 2 miles away or 3 miles away? The answer is it's a hell of a lot farther than that, right? And I could see the water beyond that. Okay, so the world requires a physical horizon to be on a ball, and we don't have a physical horizon. It's an optical horizon. We can see things so far away. We were looking at a ship. It was 16 miles away. And at 16 miles away, we shouldn't be able to see the ship, right? Because the camera's down low, we can see the ship. And then we're like, is the bottom of the ship missing? There's little waves in the foreground that are hiding the bottom of the ship. But we see another ship miles beyond it. And in our perspective, we can still see it on the surface of the water beyond the ship. So we don't know how far that second ship is, but let's just say it's only a mile farther. So it's 17 miles away. From the height of this camera, using their globe math formula, which is literally the Pythagorean theorem based on their radius of the Earth, which is fictitious, so none of it matters. The radius of the Earth, and the radius of the Earth, they tell us is 3,980. It's less than 4,000 feet, okay? The radius of the Earth to see that second ship, if it was only 17 miles away, would have to be almost 400,000 miles. I think it's 380,000 miles. Okay? 380,000 mile radius. That's a line from the center of the Earth to the surface. 380,000 mile radius to be able to see that ship according to their math. Okay? And they tell us the radius is 1/100th of that. I'm sorry. The Earth is not a globe.
I remember the one guy you debated with, the other Dave.
Professor Dave, who's a failed musician. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm just going to say it. On the app, go to Debunking the Debunkers or go to any of my interviews channels that can all be found at flatearthdave.com. And there's a video called Flat Earth Dave Destroys Professor Dave. Okay? Watch it. It's not by a flat earther. It's by a guy that uses logic and science to analyze how a debate is going. And he did the fallacy and straw man count and logical fallacies and ad homs. And Dave got almost 300, and I think I got like 16 because I kept saying stopping a dick. All right. So, but the funny thing is, Google will serve that up first. The beautiful thing about that is a lot of people that I couldn't reach on a show like this, a lot of people that would never watch my stuff, watched that because they're serving it. And then they watch it, I've got calls from lots of professors and lots of, teachers and lots of people that are like, listen, I'm not a flat earther, but why did he act like that? Why did Professor Dave act like a child? Why did he not bring forth any proof? Why did he just make fun? And I was like, hey, thanks for asking. Here, watch these videos. It gives me an opportunity to send them what I call my crash course. And it's just a couple videos, and basically it's on my website. If you don't want to get the app, that's fine. It's called the Crash Course. And I say you can't get through 5 of those videos without becoming a flat earther. And then people are like, oh, yeah, I'll watch these. 2 videos in, they email me back. They're like, holy crap, the earth is flat. Okay? And here's the thing. Don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything you see in a video. Don't believe anything. Go out and verify all things for yourself. And these videos will teach you how to verify.
What was disappointing to me is he just never would acknowledge the fact that the formula shows you in real life there's no real curvature because we see much farther than that. He kept saying your formula wasn't the same one. Essentially
the only thing they can do is say, no, your formula's wrong, right? Well, he's got Professor in front of his name. Well, guess what? I'm known as Professor Flat Earth Dave. Okay, so from now on, everybody needs to call me Professor because that's all he did. He should be Professor Failed Musician and college dropout because that's what he is. All right, so. We all know the Pythagorean theorem is right? You have a right angled triangle, a squared plus b squared off of the right angle will equal the hypotenuse, the diagonal line. Okay, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So if we use the radius of the Earth and we take it to the surface of the Earth and we can plug in any values we want and it'll give us the actual drop, and it's dead on to 8 inches per mile squared up to 1,000 miles. Okay, we don't need that. We need 10 miles, 20 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles. It's hard to see much farther than 150 miles. But we can see things that should be miles below the curve. But they're there. Submarines can send out sonar and see another submarine on the bottom of the ocean 100 miles away. There should be a mountain of dirt in between them over a mile high. How does sonar climb a mountain, dive down the other side of a mountain, hit a submarine, bounce back, climb the mountain, dive down the mountain, and get to the sonar guy and goes, oh, there's a submarine over there. We're going to ignore the mountain in between them. No, the Earth is flat. Okay? Same thing on the surface of the water, right? The science of water at rest lays flat. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. There's, we've had many testimony from military people that say they can pinpoint another ship 100 miles away with a pencil-thin laser beam. Well, there would be a hill of water over 6,000 feet tall between them. How does that laser climb up that hill, that mountain of water, right? All of it is nonsense. The thing is, they can tell us all of these things, and people just like, I don't have the brain power or the time or the energy. I got to watch, my television show. I have to watch, Breaking Bad. By the way, which is one of the greatest series ever. But, that's to entertain your mind, right? To take you off of thinking. The whole entertainment system is to stop you from critically thinking, like all flat earthers do.
So you've just proven to me that there really is no curvature of the Earth. They've never measured curvature of the Earth, have they?
Every experiment to measure curvature shows the opposite. It shows it's flat and stationary. You would have, like, if we were standing across from each other and I held a basketball up to my nose, right? You can't see my mouth. If I gave you a pair of binoculars or a telescope, you cannot see my mouth. It's behind the curve. You can see my eyes. It's above the curve, but you can't see my mouth. It's behind the curve, right? That's what a physical ball would do to these things that we're seeing, right? So on a flat Earth, you can't see something far away because its angular size is too small and your horizontal eye zone has limited it, but then you can zoom in. When you zoom in on something, you're actually increasing the angular size, and that's how you can see it. So the Glober answer is, well, the water temperature and the air temperature with the relative humidity, they're causing a mirage where the thing in the distance is floating up a half a mile to stop at your eye level, and then the water in front of that is only going up a little bit less and a little bit less, and in front of the oil rig it's even less, and it all lines up magically, perfectly horizontal with your eye level because of refraction. The constant, they try to give you a refraction constant, or maybe just we see it because the Earth is flat. Okay? The sun is 400 times bigger than the moon and 400 times farther than the moon, and that's what makes them look like they're the same size. Or, if you don't want to get weird about it, maybe they're just the same size.
Did you go through a period of being shocked when you really realized?
Every single day of my life, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. And the thing that shocks me most right now is the stupidity of people, of how there can be people that have been shown again and again that refuse to see. There's many people that are doing great research, like Graham Hancock. He's either paid or possessed. Don't know, right? Yeah. The guy's done some great work. Maybe he's just too lost in his research grants and his television show and everything. And then you have, other truthers like Larkin Rose and it's based on the guy's name. He does these really long podcasts. He's awesome out of Philadelphia. Does great work, but they can't see flat Earth. They just can't see it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just they refuse to look at it, and there's just some people that are just too lost in it, and their brains are too fluoridated and too just too poisoned and programmed to have the flexibility to see. And people say, Dave, you'll never change your mind. I changed my mind. I used to be a heliocentrist, right? I used to be a heliocentric cult clown because I believed stuff without ever knowing why, all right? Anybody that believes we live on a globe doesn't know why. They think they know why, but they've never put it to the test. Anybody that thinks we went to the moon never looked into it, okay? They never looked into it, and if they did, they were fed propaganda. And they're like, oh, well, that answers that. Google told me we went, so therefore we went, right? I have video watching an astronaut move along the video. So you're looking at the astronaut. His shadow is going directly to the left. As he moves over to the right, we're just panning to the right. His shadow changed 180 degrees. That is impossible on the moon.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for people to really understand how big the lie is.
I have lost your audio.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Nope, now I can. You're back.
Okay, good. I just am shocked that people, I think they're so shocked about the fact that they've been lied to on such a grand scale.
It's easier to lie to somebody than tell them they've been lied to. It's easier to believe a lie than to go through the pain and the brain work, the reprogramming of yourself to undo all of the things that the lie was. If you have, let's say you're in a relationship and the person, cheats on you, whatever it is. I hate that example, but you have to rewire your brain. You have to figure out a whole new way to deal with somebody and all this stuff. And that's huge, right? But it doesn't compare to, you're not on a ball. Everything you believed in your entire life, everything you've based your life on, all of the interest that you had, in space, in aliens and all this stuff, it's all a lie. But the beautiful thing is, everyone like Stephen Bassett, right? Another guy, smart guy, but he's lost in space. He wants disclosure, but he's like, disclosure is not going to come in my lifetime or my grandkids' lifetime. It's too far away. The closest star, 25 trillion miles away, ridiculous distance, right? So for someone to get here, it could take millions and millions and millions of years, and none of it makes any sense. But the truth is, the other worlds, in my opinion, could be on the extra land beyond Antarctica. They could be here within our pond, or they could be in another pond across the plain, right? Just thousands of miles away. Doable in days, weeks, hours, months, years, but not, ridiculous light years. Here on a physical plane, right? And I believe this physical world is the lowest density of pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is non-physical, and it spirals down to the very bottom where we have the physical reality that we live in. So, if you want to go use the word simulation, we're in some sort of physical simulation. It's amazing. And we need to honor this incredible realm and be grateful that we are the beneficiaries of this incredible, intelligent creation. And that's what the elite don't want. They don't want you becoming, achieving your full potential, because if we did, they're gone. They're finished.
So, for instance, Alpha Centauri is supposed to be 4 light years away, but we have no idea of knowing how far away it really is, correct?
Well, what we can prove is, again, with the inverse square law of light, we can prove that it's not light years away. Light years are stupid, right? If you have a light, okay, so let's look at the sun, right? If we doubled the distance of the sun, it would be 1/4 of its size. And it would also be 1/4 of that brightness. Okay, so now we have a really small sun. We double the distance. So if we take that double distance and double it again, so now it's 4 times farther. It's now 1/16 of the brightness and size of our sun. If we doubled that again, so it's now 8 times farther, it's now 1/64th the size of the sun and 1/64th the brightness. That to me sounds like a faint star. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that distance, 8 times the distance of our sun, since the sun is 8 light minutes away, 8 times 8, 64, we'll call it a light hour. If we doubled that again, right, 128, a 128th of the size and 128th the size, double that again, we're at 4 light hours, double that again, 8 light hours, double that again. The numbers are so ridiculous. When we get at just a light day or two, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely stupid, okay? It's scientifically provable you couldn't see it. So let's look at a farther star, right? The North Star. Everybody in the inner north can see the North Star. It's very bright. They tell us it's 48 times bigger than our sun. Okay. Well, if just like the sun and the moon, if we made it 48 times farther than the sun that we can't see, that I made it at a light day away, so now it's we put Polaris to make it an equal unseeable size at 48 light days. Not even 2 months. You can't see it. Let's round up. 4 months, 8 months, a year, a light year away. Absolute insanity to believe that you can see it. And they tell us it's 433 light years away, right? And so the brightness and the size are scientifically provable, unseeable, literally a light days away. But people want to just believe that it's these distances. So what are the stars? How far are they? I don't know, and neither do you, and neither does NASA, neither does, well, maybe some people know. To me, you look at them, they're right here within our atmosphere, right? They're here within our domed area, okay? And I think that they're, with today's consumer optics, we see them, they're pulsing orbs of energy. They all have different frequencies and making different patterns. If you watch my interviews, I show them quite often, or on my app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. You go to What About Stars on the Frequently Asked Questions page, and there's great videos there, stuff you won't find on YouTube. And then you'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to believe this. I'm going to go out and buy my own camera and do it myself. Then you do it yourself, and that's how you become a flat earther. I think Nikon is responsible for many flat earthers.
Really?
Yeah, because of their camera. Their P900 and P1000 camera they're incredible. You can zoom in on stuff, and if a star was hundreds of trillions of miles away, how is zooming in on it with 125 times zoom going to show you anything? It's not going to show you anything. It's not going to change it. It's too far away. But we can zoom in and like, oh, look at that. Don't even zoom in all the way. You're like, whoa, right? And we need to send up another balloon at night, because when balloons go up at night, looking up at the stars on a clear night where you can see the stars before they take off, when it hits 80,000 feet or so, all the stars disappear. That doesn't make any sense in a heliocentric model. It should be a vivid light show at that, above the thickness of the atmosphere, but they're all gone. What's up with that?
That's weird. We're going to go to the break in a few minutes here. Boy, this is like a flood of information. You're trying to sort all through this.
Here's the thing. Belief is the enemy of knowing. You want to believe something? Believe the earth is a globe. You're done. Go watch some Netflix, smoke a joint, drink a beer, take a nap. Doesn't matter. You're done. You have nothing else to do. You want to know something? Go out and verify it. It's going to take you time. Hey, I live in Connecticut and I'm in Mexico right now. Okay? You can believe that. Or you can do some research, and it's going to take you some time, and you can figure out, well, he's not lying. He is from Connecticut. I found his yearbook and his friends and this and that, and he is in Mexico because I see a picture of him in Mexico. That you can do the time, you can do the effort, right? And so this topic isn't something that you can just go, I don't believe it, I believe it. It's not about believing. It's about knowing, right? And so the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best way to know. Just go read the reviews in the App Store or the Google Play Store, and you can find it. Make sure you go to flatearthdave.com and click that link, because there's already an anti-flat earther one that stole the same name, tried to steal the design. The app is horrible. If you get the app, don't send me an email telling me my app sucks, and make sure you leave them a proper review.
So the planets that we call planets, like Mars, may only be the size of a basketball.
I don't know what they are, but they're close. They're here. All of the planets that used to be called wandering stars are named after gods. That's interesting. And astrology appears to be the real science, and astronomy is pure pseudoscience. So, when you look up in the night sky and see Mars and Jupiter, how the heck is Jupiter reflecting the sunlight so bright that it looks like a little small sun? I mean, it's as bright as the sun. It's but it's like the largest star in the sky. So bright. How is that reflecting light?
We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Hey everyone, it's Barbara Jean Lindsay, the Cosmic Oracle. If you have questions about your past lives or future plans, need answers from the cosmos about your love life or career, or just want to keep your finger on the pulse of the planet, check out my show, The Cosmic Oracle, here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Don't miss the Crypt Rick and Jonathan Show every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Studio B, right here at Revolution Radio. The journey begins to fun, health, and freedom.
Feel that things were not quite right, that everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
download it to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Hi, this is Robert Stanley. I'm the host of the Unicus Report, where we explore enigmatic events taking place both on and off this world. Please join me Mondays from noon till 2 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, Freedom's Lips.
There have been imaginative science fiction writers for generations.
Be evasive.
But that doesn't mean that they're telling the truth as opposed to fiction.
I'm aware of some archaeologists that have uncovered large bones indicating giants in Virginia. Genesis chapter 6 verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, indicating that there were giants before the Nephilim.
And sons of God, plural. They weren't talking about Jesus coming down and
No, that's right. Yeah.
I'm Steve Crawford. Join me every Thursday night in Studio A at 6 p.m. Eastern for Factor Theory Live. Find us on www.revolution.radio. Great guests and great stories.
What do you believe?
Join me at Revolution Radio, Studio B, at 11 a.m. on Saturday for Free Association, when we take a look at philosophy, spirituality, psychology, social issues, and geopolitics. It's every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Studio B at freedomslips.com. I want to thank everybody for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the one place where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
All right, let's show them what we got here.
All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ohio Exopolitics. I'm your host, Mark Snyder. Our guest today is Dave Weiss, and we've just been drinking from a fire hose for the first hour. One of the things I wanted to bring up here quickly is when Apollo astronaut Alan Bean didn't know if he had even passed through the Van Allen belts when he was asked by a reporter. And Dave, I wonder if you have seen that.
Oh, yeah. I've seen all of them. If you look at, astronauts doing interviews, you got Buzz Aldrin. He's probably the smartest of them all. You got Alan. You got Don Pettit. These guys are one step away from, I'll use the R word if that's okay, retarded. Okay, they're not the brightest in the batch, right? But look at like Air Force pilots and stuff. These guys are sharp, right on it. These guys are idiots. So I wonder if they're actually, some of them might believe, might just totally be hypnotized into believing they went to space. But no one's been to space, and they can't keep their story straight. We saw stars, we didn't see stars. Just go watch the moon press conference from the three astronauts. It literally looks like somebody just killed their dogs.
Yeah, they're depressed.
These guys, they should be like jumping up and down. We just went to the moon, drove golf carts, hit golf balls, with dune buggying for no apparent reason, and put a flag on the moon. And they just they became recluses. They didn't want to talk to anybody. They wouldn't swear on the Bible that they walked on the moon for $5,000 cash. I mean, if I walked on the moon, someone says, I'll give you $5,000 to swear on the Bible. I'm like, I swear on the Bible, I walked on the moon, give them money. Boom. I would just been like, okay. But it's the biggest psyop. People, another way to get away with it is people can't imagine a lie this big. People can't imagine that there's that many people on it, and the truth is there's not that many people in on it, right? Anyone that works for NASA or SpaceX, they don't know what the person next to them does. It's all compartmentalized. So a vast majority of them, which isn't as many people as they tell us, think that they're doing stuff that's going to space. We've talked to people that make satellites. They've never seen them go into space, right? They make them, they extend them out, and then they get a signal back. That must mean it's in space, or it must mean somebody's pulling your leg. All right? So there's so much compartmentalization. Go ahead.
So let me ask you, do Elon Musk's rockets really land, or is that just CGI?
Here's the thing. This is a lie so big people can't look at that. You don't land a multi-ton, tall, top-heavy cylinder that's falling out of the sky that weighs multiple tons with a little bit of a white flame that sticks out of the bottom, a blue flame, right? A little flame comes out. It's steering it with this rocket shoots up into the sky. There's winds. There's all sorts of stuff. We're corkscrewing through space. It goes up into space. It drops off the first stage. The first stage free falls with little fins that somehow keep it going butt first, right? And it lands on a raft 800 miles off the coast of Florida, okay?
Yeah.
First. Have you ever been off 800 miles off the coast? It's never calm. Rarely calm. Not never, but it's rarely calm. Usually there's big swells, right? This thing lands on this little drone raft. Nobody's ever there. 99% of the time, the image just cuts out just before it lands. I mean, it's so friggin' fake. Someone's literally taking like a firework and just putting it into frame and sticking it down, and you don't see their hand because it's above the camera. I mean, it's the dumbest thing ever. So in my interviews, in the app, on the fake rocket launches and stuff, just watch it, look at it. Most people that believe this stuff is real have just heard about it, seen a picture, and seen a bunch of controllers clapping and high-fiving. Therefore, it must be real. Talk to any engineer. Remember we got these vertical takeoff jets. They have 4 jets, and the things are wobbling all over the place. This thing's falling out of the sky, landing on a raft in the middle of a calm ocean. Give me a break. It's the dumbest crap ever. And then once you see that, you can unwind the entire space program. You can unwind everything all the way back to the top of the freaking government and unwind it all. It's nonsense, and people need to wake up and get out of their baby pants and take our world back. It's the people that refuse to look that are holding us back. Okay? And people say, well, everyone can't be in on it. No, but there's millions of people that are fighting this flat earth thing that don't know their own model. They're fighting it because they're brainwashed. They're drones. They're literally NPCs fighting to protect their own slavery. The heliocentric system is the matrix. It's a prison for your mind. It stops you from reaching your full potential. It's stopping everything. And if you fight to keep it, if you refuse to look at the truth, then you are responsible for being in your own prison.
You probably know this, but Neil Armstrong crashed 2 of those lunar modules that they had on the Earth that he was practicing with. He never got it to work. And they still went to the moon, supposedly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. They couldn't land it on there.
The NASA apologists would go, that's because, the moon doesn't have any air and there's less gravity, so it's much easier to control. You can just make up stuff. Right? Yeah, my alter ego, Baller Dave, it's just so easy to make up stuff. Like when I go on a show as Baller Dave, oops, did I just say that's me? It wasn't me. It was a slip up. I don't even prepare because you can make up anything on the spot. It's all nonsense. And all the other globe, occultists will be like, yeah, right, yes, toe the line. That's it. Nonsense. It's absolute and total nonsense.
And the car that he supposedly put up into orbit, that was so fake looking, it was ridiculous.
It's absolutely nothing. There's no way it could survive. The tires would explode, everything. It was weird. There was no rear view mirror. Like, well, God forbid we got to glance in the rear view mirror. What's at that fourth wall, right? And the CGI was so ridiculous. And it's showing the curved Earth. Everyone's, look at the curve. You can't fake that. Well, one, it was fake because it glitched and the car didn't glitch. It literally had a hiccup. And the other thing is, it wasn't as high as the space station, and it's seeing the whole curve of the Earth. It's seeing the whole Earth. The space station can barely see the curve when they get their story straight.
Right.
And somehow at a lower altitude, it sees the whole curve of the Earth. Again, I go back and forth all the time. Do they do this on purpose, or they do it to see how stupid we are? I go back on first. Do they do it on purpose to see how stupid we are, or are they that stupid? Okay, so. I go back and forth. I don't know.
What about angels? Where do they fit into your view of the world, of the universe?
You know what? That's a great question. I think that we're having this physical experience here, that we're eternal souls ourselves. And when we leave this physical world, we spiral back up to pure consciousness. That might be what we refer to as heaven, right? And then we lower ourselves down into this dense, low-vibrating world to have this physical experience. So maybe somewhere in between you have angels helping out. Maybe the clouds are angels. I don't know. Water holds memory. They say that the angelic realm is non-physical. Well, look at those clouds, the ones that we used to have before they started warring the skies with all the spraying of the chemicals. They all have finite edges. Why do clouds have finite edges? Why do we have these clouds that look like brains? Why can a drop of water hold terabytes of information? Maybe that's pure consciousness up there, and maybe this chemtrail stuff that's going on is a war with angels. Again, this is me talking. I don't know. It's stuff that we can't reach, but it is very interesting.
Now, I didn't know that water held information like this.
Yeah, water. Well, look up Dr. Emoto's stuff. When water picks up emotions and feelings and everything, and he flash froze it and took pictures, and it showed all these different forms. And when it touches something, it picks up that frequency. Water holds tons of information, terabytes of information.
I didn't know that, and it stores it. It can retain it.
You know what? I don't know the technology behind it, but sure. I mean, look at us. Where are we getting all our information from? We're mostly water. Water is
exactly.
what they're like. What the great water conspiracy? Water isn't what they tell us. Water. The Jaron from Jaronism and I came up with the same thing at the same time. It was really weird. We weren't even talking to each other. Where we're like, maybe God is water, right? Because God's within us. God is everywhere, above us, below us. God feeds the world. God brings life to things. There's so many analogies to water. And then God's everywhere, right? And guess what happens when you have no water left? You're dead.
Exactly.
You've disconnected from God.
So, from your point of view, the solar system doesn't exist in the classic sense of the word, right?
100%. There's no rocks falling around other rocks, right? I talked about the three-body problem earlier. It makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. If the Earth changes tiny little tilt, the tiniest little bit, all life on Earth would change. All climates would change. But it's supposed to be going around perfectly at this tilt, where the north and the south, 6 months apart, should have the same weather and the same animals and the same plants at the same latitudes, but they don't, right? The deep south, I think it's 50 degrees south, has 50 or 60 degrees south, has no life. There's like literally nothing. But like 80 degrees north, which is much farther, has like moose and trees and people and all sorts of stuff. Don't quote me on the exact numbers, but I forget. It's a substantial difference, but where the truth is they should be exactly the same 6 months apart.
So have you ever studied the Bible much at all?
I listened to a lot of people that have studied the Bible, and I've been listening to it for the last 7 years, so I don't know if that's a yes or a no, but I'll throw it in as a somewhat.
There is a Hebrew term called Elohim, And are you familiar with that?
Yeah, refresh my memory. I've heard it many times.
We always translate it and kind of interpret it as meaning God. Elohim equals God. Well, there's a researcher, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Mauro Biglino, who he's a Hebrew scholar, and he did many, many translations for the Vatican and people like that. And they asked him to translate certain things in the Old Testament just to see what he would say. And he doesn't even think the Elohim refers to God. He said it should be translated literally like the powerful ones or the knowledgeable ones or something along those lines. I just wondered if you had ever come across that.
Not specifically, but it makes a lot of sense, you know. I'm learning more every day.
Okay. I just thought I would throw that out there. So from, 93 million miles, the sun is not 93 million miles away. How far away? I know it's a projection, but I've heard you say maybe 3,000 miles. We don't know.
We don't know. It's a projection, but no. Everyone loves coming up with the 3,000. The Globers run with that. They're like, it was 3,000 miles away. There's no way it could set because the size of the flat Earth map, and that's still not true. But you can size and scale anything. They said 3,000 miles away and 31 miles wide. Well, if you made it 15 miles wide and 1,500 miles away, it would look the same. And if you made it 7,500 miles, 750 miles wide and 7,000, whatever. You just keep scaling it down. Personally, I think the sun that we see rises less than 100 miles from us and sets less than 100 miles from us. So during the entire day, it's traveling less than 200 miles. That's my opinion. Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's because we're seeing it inside our own personal atmospheric dome. And people are like, that's nonsense. Flat earthers are making this up. It's not. You go out on a sunny day where there's a fog and look up at the sun. It looks like that sun is right there. You can see it inside your really tight personal atmospheric dome. But that's how the sky works. And we see the sun relative to our own position. We look at the moon on a full moon night when there's scattered clouds. And you can see that the moon is lighting up the clouds that are right next to it. If it was 250,000 miles away, like they say, it would light up all of the clouds in the sky, but it doesn't. I say throw cotton balls all over your floor and then hold a light, high up on the ceiling, and it's going to light up all those cotton balls. Now, get it to light up only the ones right near it. You have to bring it way down, just above it. So when we look up at the sun and the moon, from our point of view here on the Earth, I don't think it's much higher than the clouds. But people go, wait a minute, airplanes are flying up there. Okay? But when you go up, your personal dome goes up also, and it moves up, right? But there's been times where people are filming the sun, and they'll watch an airplane, and the airplane looks like it goes right in the sun. Now, people say, well, it's going in front of the sun. You just can't see it because the sun is bright, and they're partially right there. But when it exits the sun, it literally pulls out like a trail of plasma, and it just, you see it come out, and it just like leaves this trail that lasts for a couple seconds, and then it's gone. Okay? Mm-hmm. Do you want to know what that is?
What is it?
I don't know, man. I want to know too. But okay, but I think it's the way we see reality, and then we have the images, the videos of the sun just sitting inside the clouds during a storm. It's fascinating. And sometimes when the conditions are right, all of a sudden you'll see two suns. And that's because because of the atmospheric conditions, it's literally rendering in two places at the same time. Or lots of times it's just enough, blockage in the atmosphere to make the sun dim enough where you can see the source sun, and you'd be like, look, there's two suns, but you can see the sun behind it. In the app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, on the frequently asked questions page, if you go to the eclipses section and scroll down to my videos called the rear projection eclipse, I think that's what it's called. It's just a few videos down, and I show you how to make a rear projection eclipse, and all of the definition of it, all of the aspects of it completely and totally replicate what we see in reality. Okay, so does that prove it? I don't know if it proves it, but it sure shows you how, why it is that we never see the moon approach, eclipse, or exit the face of the sun. We just see the sun eclipse. And that's because the thing that's eclipsing it is on the other side of the apparent sun. It's in front of the real sun, and it is behind the apparent sun that we see. And that's why you never see the object, because it has no light being projected into your dome. Again, all of the stuff's hard on a audio podcast, but check it out. Those videos right there will get you thinking, and then you can do some of your own experiments.
This personal atmospheric dome thing is very interesting. See, I have this little cot in my yard, and I like to go out and take little breaks out there, particularly when the weather's good. It's really great to do that in the sunshine, so I get a lot of vitamin D that way. But I found if I can do it in the winter, if it's a fairly nice day, there's something about, I can't explain it, but you really warm up when I'm laying on that little cot, because I wonder, when you said personal atmospheric dome, it's almost like when I lay and stay in one spot, the sun is somehow more focused with the lights. So I'm much warmer on that little cot than if I was walking around the yard or whatever. I don't know if that's
interesting.
Related. Oh, it is just
that's very interesting. Maybe when you're still, the sun renders in a spot and intensifies a little bit. When you're on the move, who knows? That it's something to think about. I don't know the answer there, but it's
they have something with this personal atmospheric dome. What led you to that point? That's fascinating.
Observations. The eclipse. Somebody filmed an eclipse where we saw the eclipse was like 95% eclipsed, and we saw this little smaller light right next to the sun that was an eclipse. And we're like, well, what is that? And there was another one jumping around, and that was a lens flare. Okay. Because as the camera moves, the lens flare moves. All right, no problem. That explains it. And the lens flare was a perfect shot of the 95% eclipse. But like, what is the other one? It's not. It's locked in position with the sun. And that's when I came up with my rear projection idea, and I created the exact same thing that created that same thing, that locked in position, source. Eclipse, source sun behind the sun. Again, in the eclipse section on the app, you can find it at flatearthdave.com. Check that out, and be careful though. If you're not a flat earther and you get the app, you're going to be a flat earther. So just be ready to deal with it, because you might lose some friends temporarily until they wake up.
Can you describe the Earth as it really appears?
Well, I give the analogy of this. Imagine we'll make a smaller model of the greater Earth. So we go to Kansas, very flat. And in Kansas, there's a lake, and it's 5 miles in circumference. Okay, that's a nice sized lake. Okay, let's make it 50 miles in circumference. Big, giant lake. Okay, the circumference of the lake is 50 miles. In the very center of the lake, there's a mountain, very tall, narrow mountain, and it's magnetic. It's a giant magnetic mountain. And we're going to call that the north of that lake. Because when we're on the lake in our boat, there's islands all over the lake, we're going to call those continents, okay? And I hold out my compass. It points towards the center of the lake no matter where I am. So if I try to go east or west, I'm going to make a circle around the north. Right, because I'm going to follow the compass, and I'm going to make a circle and end up right back where I started from. So I just circumnavigated the lake. That must mean it's a spherical lake, right?
Right.
Wrong. Okay, it's not. It's a flat lake. I just went around it. And if I go south, now what is south? South is every direction away from the center. So no matter where you are, like if we were both at the center with our backs to each other, and we started walking away, we're both walking south in opposite directions. That's weird, right?
Yeah, right.
But if you think about it on a globe, you're walking down a globe, spinning and whirling and twirling through space. That's even more weird. But what happens when we get to the edge of the lake? Do you fall off into space? No. You get to the land that's higher than the water, that's holding the water in. You get off your boat, you step up on the land, and you start walking away from the center of the lake. So you're still heading south, according, relative to our World Lake in Kansas there. And you're a mile away from the lake. Now you can't even see the lake anymore. And you're 10 miles away, you can't see the lake anymore. And you're 50 miles away, and you've gone a long time. You're going 100 miles away, and all of a sudden, you come up to another lake.
Okay.
Another lake with other islands. And it has its own light above it, circling around, its own small local sun. You get on your boat, you start sailing around over there, and you go to these other lands, and you find other people that you've never heard of. Advanced people, not advanced people. Different types of people, different types of, giants, grays, Anunnaki, whatever you want to call, right? That's what I look at the Earth as. So first, our Earth, we're that lake. We don't know what's beyond that lake. We don't know if there's more land. We don't know if there's a dome. I think there is. But we don't know what's beyond there. We want the right to go explore out there. So that's the Earth. That's the Earth that I see.
So to explore these other, I want to call them other Earths, but they're other lakes, right, with their own.
Well, let's call them pieces. They all occupy a section of the plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a piece of the plane might be called a planet. A planet, like a little piece of the plane. So let's call them planets. Planets.
So it could be a plane that we have with these little circles of water in them. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying we live on an extended plane, and there's probably, due to a preponderance of evidence, more land beyond the shoreline. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that will fight me to the death on that one that are flat earthers, and that's cool. They have the right to, because neither of us know. Neither of us know. Some people say, well, the Bible doesn't say anything about more land. Well, does that mean there's no more land? Like, if I didn't tell you that I'm in Mexico, does that mean I'm not in Mexico? Right? So what's out there, we don't know. It seems like an awful waste just to have one pond. And there's some great books in the app. Check out the Iron Republic's in there. And there's a book called The Navigator Across the Ice Wall. Basically, it's the story of Star Wars here on Earth. Okay, with the other lands and the hostile lands and wars and good people, bad people. It's amazing. And they say that all humans that travel between these energetic domes, you have to be of a certain mind frequency. Maybe that's why they're trying to keep us in this low vibration of fear world so we can't escape, right? Because if you become enlightened, maybe you can travel to other worlds, right? So they say that all the people have this unifying connection to the source, right? The source sounds like God in some way. The source, but think about it. In Star Wars, they're talking about the Force. So literally, it's an amazing book. And I highly recommend people read it just to open their minds. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. So in order to get from one planet to the next, you kind of have to get through the dome, and then you have to travel a while to get to the next circle, right?
Maybe there's times where these things open up. Maybe that's why the elite are so afraid of global warming, because it opens up portals. Maybe there's tunnels that connect these worlds. Disney World has tunnels, and they know what's going on. They got the firmament over their castle, poking through the firmament. They got tunnels. It's all fascinating stuff. Maybe there's ships that sail out there. We found some ships that were hundreds of miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica. What the heck is going on there? Right? On my channel, DITRH, the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, I have a recent video called How Would You Know? And it's one of these ships that we looked up. It's a massive ship, 580 meters long. This is like a giant cargo ship. What is it doing 400 miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica? How did it get there? What's going on? And I contend that maybe it's a ship going to the outer lands. And we looked up where the ship comes from, where it's registered. And it's registered on an island called Kiribati, which is in the middle of the South Pacific. I encourage anyone, go on Google Earth, put in Kiribati. And look at this tiny little sandbar in the middle of nowhere that the U.S. government and the Chinese government are highly involved with. China gave them $10 billion recently. Okay? What is going on there? What are they trafficking? Children, computer chips, food, technology. What is going on with these ships? Well, the thing that I say is, if there was a trade route going from Kiribati to the outer lands, how would you know? You would never know. You never even heard of Kiribati.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff. Wow.
Yeah. So
this is a hell of a thing to study. I mean, you know, you have to throw everything out almost, like gravity. Oof. There's no gravity, right?
There's no gravity. It's all electrostatics. Think about this. Gravity is a fictional force. They made it up. They need 96% dark matter and dark energy to make it real. So you make up a theory, 96% of it's wrong, and you say, well, let me make up something else to make it right, and it has to be there, otherwise gravity's not real. That's not science. That's pseudoscience. You're supposed to throw out the theory, but let's pretend, and really we'll need to pretend hard, that gravity is real. They say it's a weak force, right? Well, do you know what the electrostatic force is? That's where a positive and a negative will attract to each other. Well, the Earth has a testable, scientifically provable negative or neutral charge to it. Okay? The Earth doesn't move. We can tell that by looking at a calm lake. The Earth isn't moving. All right? Anything above the Earth is in above the Earth in the air is surrounded by a positive field. So it has a positive charge to it. Okay? And the Earth has a electrostatic charge that will say, hey, I'm not moving, so you've got a positive charge, come here. And if it has one positive charge to it, it goes down very slow. If it has 10, it goes down faster. If it has 50, it goes down faster. Well, if you look at the periodic table, the things that are heavier and heavier have a higher and higher positive charge. Interesting. Okay? So they tell us, how strong is this positive charge? Well, they say it's 10 to the 36 power. That's a number that you can't even comprehend. Stronger than, guess what? The alleged force of gravity. So it's 10 to the 36 power. Let's just stick on that for a second. 10 to the 36. A trillion is 15 zeros. Okay? A trillion seconds is 31,000 years. A trillion is a massive number. And if we added one more zero to that, it makes it 1,000. Is it 1,000 times bigger? Right? And another zero to that, and another zero to that. We're only up to 18 zeros now. We got to get to 36 zeros. The number is incomprehensible. But science, globalists, gravitational cult clowns say that the electrostatic force, which is scientifically provable, testable, there's a million things we can do. We can make things float, we make things go heavier just by changing their electrostatic field. MIT has the silent drone, which is a drone that has no moving parts and makes no sound, and it flies. All they're doing is changing the electrostatic charge of it to a negative charge. They're able to maintain that negative charge, and it flies magically. Okay? So what is it defying? The minuscule made-up gravity or the 10 to the 36 power stronger, provable, scientifically provable electrostatic force? Okay? How anybody could even argue for gravity at that point? Even if gravity was real, it's completely outweighed by the electrostatic force. So it's meaningless. It's meaningless. Right? It's like you're in the ring with Mike Tyson. Okay? And different things are hitting you in the head. Air molecules are hitting in your head, and Mike Tyson's fist is hitting you in the head. Okay? Which one knocks you out? Well, according to the globalists, it's the air molecule. Okay? Because that's what's knocking you out. Right? That's an equivalent analogy.
Incredible. I want to shift.
It is incredible. The stupidity of this world is incredible.
We've got to relearn almost everything. It's disgusting.
FlatEarthDave.com, everybody. Check out my crash course there. Get the app. It's $3, right? If you want to message people on the Friend Finder, there's a subscription. And ready for this, it's $11 a year. So if you ever bought anybody a shot or a margarita in a bar, you spent more than that probably. All right, $11 a year. And if you don't want to pay for it, you can refer the app to 11 people, and then it's free. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So are we having mud floods every 100 years on Earth?
Well, not every 100 years, but they sure do look like they come frequently. There's tons of information on the app, on the web button, which is the More Resources page. Click the Mud Floods button there, the Tataria Mud Flood buttons, and you make up your own mind. In the homeschool section on the app, click the John Levy button there. Amazing. Watch all of his videos. And then make up your own mind, right? These people that claim that they know what's going on, they don't know when or why. But it's provable that it happened. It is not a question. It happened. And the inheritors of this post-apocalyptic realm that we live in are lying to us. They got here, they know the real story, and they're keeping the masses at bay with, sports games and alcohol and lies and the media, the news, fear, false evidence appearing real, the news, steering your mind, north, east, west, south, news, right? It's all spells. They're all putting spells on you to just use your energy, your fear energy, to help them, right? So think about this. Pure consciousness is non-physical. That's the peak of the heavenly realm, if we have to put a label on it. And then we spiral down to this low energy, this low vibration that we call the physical world. Okay? So we're in this physical world. Well, there are beings that are vibrating somewhere in that realm that are using our energy, that need us. They need our fear energy to power, their desires. Maybe they don't have the ability to manifest like we do. We have the ability to manifest whatever we want. And God forbid if people figure that out. Okay? People are like, wait a minute, I want $1 million and I'm not manifesting $1 million. What you're manifesting is the fact that you don't have $1 million and you believe that you never will have $1 million. Okay? It's all the way that you think, right? And you can manifest anything that makes sense in this world and things that don't make sense too.
So a lot of people think that high technology existed back in the 1800s. Is that?
Oh, it totally did. I mean, if we think we're advanced. This is a joke. We are literally in the middle of the movie Idiocracy. You know the movie Idiocracy? Have you watched it?
Yes.
It used to be a comedy, but now it's a documentary. All right? If anyone hasn't seen it, Idiocracy. You can find it probably on, I don't know, net. Just search it up. Idiocracy. It's actually on YouTube. No, it's on BitChute. Look it up on BitChute. Idiocracy. Watch it.
So do you guys have?
It's funny.
Do you guys have a homeschooling effort? Mention homeschool.
Well, a lot of people, most flat earthers don't send their kids to school because we realize that it's just a scam. It's ridiculous. One of the biggest stresses of becoming a parent is that you have to save for college. That is the biggest joke ever. You're literally saving for your child's enslavement, right? College is, there used to be like, the MIT professor, you want to learn from him, you have to go to MIT, right? But now everything's online. You can find anything you want. You don't need to travel to these schools and get indoctrinated into their nonsense and spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars and get in debt and then go work at Burger King. Okay? It's nonsense, right? So that takes a lot of stress off, but there's lots of homeschool stuff on the app, on the homeschool button. There is some homeschool curriculum stuff. There's lots of courses there. I tell people, do this. Have you heard of Crow 777 Radio?
I have, yes.
Yeah, so Crow 777 Radio. There's two R's in Crow. CRROW 777radio.com. Excuse me. He does 2 new podcasts a week, and then it has over 400 in the archive. Here's college.
Yeah.
Send your kids somewhere. Excuse me. Send your kids somewhere and have them watch the 2 new ones a week and 3 old ones. So they have to listen to 5 podcasts a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 hours. He can listen to them at 6 o'clock in the morning or at midnight or at noon or while he's kite surfing or while he's riding his bike or while he's working in his garden. He can do it wherever he wants. That's it. And at the end of a few months, that kid's going to be more useful to society, more hireable, more desirable, and more knowledgeable than anybody that goes to any college university, right? Because you're going to figure it all out. Then you're going to, because you realize that this world is more than there is, and he's not hiding, vortex math and sacred geometry and all that stuff. They're gonna follow their heart's desire, and they're gonna do stuff that thrills them. Like, I love what I do, but I've never been more busy in my entire life, and things just work out. It's amazing.
What about giants? A lot of people that are in the flat Earth group, they talk about like giants as big as mountains.
Yeah, well, there's it's if you go to on the more resources pages, there's a button Stellium 7. This guy found a mountain. It looked like a giant giant elephant, or what do you call them? An elephant type. And like that's called when you see something that looks like something else and you associate it. But then they went in and they went into this cave that was the eye, and all of the little tunnels represented all of the capillaries, and the ear was there, and the trunk, and the blood, and it's like there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of anomalies, right? So what was this place before? I don't know. It's not a spinning ball, I'll tell you that. There were giants. There are still giant people here among us. You heard about the giant in Afghanistan, was it?
Kandahar,
recently, Kandahar, yeah. And there's a Instagram channel that you should follow called I am the Improbable Dreamer, all one words. I'm the Improbable Dreamer. This guy has got access to like old films and all sorts of stuff, and he's not making any claims other than we live in a post-apocalyptic world, that's been taken over by the I forget the exact words, but he's basically, look at this, think about that. Look at this, this is the main story. Do you believe it? He's not telling you what to think. He's showing you and allowing you to think for yourself. I'm the Improbable Dreamer. Everybody sub that guy. And the first video on his, you should watch all of his videos, but the first one is called Buy Me a Coffee. Buy him a coffee, right? Send him $5. You will after you watch all of his videos, because he's truly a great researcher.
Now, is he on YouTube?
He's on Instagram. I think he's on YouTube too, but I think he keeps getting cut off. I watch him on Instagram, okay. and I've gone through all of his videos. And he has videos of giants with people in the 1800s walking around in top hats and suits in cities. Okay, right. So if you think giants are a hoax, you're just lazy.
I've seen some of those pictures. They're pretty amazing.
Pictures, videos.
Oh, he has videos?
Videos, many of them.
Like this, bigger than Andre the Giant, right?
Oh, Andre the Giant, they could drop kick him. Or maybe not drop kick him, but big, like people towering 3 times the height of other people.
This is a terrible side tangent, but Andre the Giant, there's a lot of interesting YouTubes on there. When he would go out drinking with the other wrestlers, he could drink 50 beers. No kidding, literally. Unbelievable. I just thought that was
okay.
I just thought that was really humorous.
No, he probably comes from a line of giants. They're the biblical stories of the Nephilim. Mating with human women and or the fallen angels mating with human women, creating the Nephilim, whatever the story is. It's fascinating. But once you start seeing this, you start figuring it all out. So again, back to the original question: does the mud flood happen every 100 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something happens on some sort of basis. Frequency, does it happen at the same time? Don't know. Does it happen everywhere? I don't know. I just have to trust that, if you're at the right frequency, you'll be in the right place at the right time for whatever it is you're supposed to experience. And the thing is, we're here in this physical simulation. We chose to be here. And worst case scenario is you get to go back to pure consciousness.
So this Klaus Schwab guy, he's in the World Economic Forum. I guess he's the chairman. They're planning on trying to create an economic disaster, right? Where everything resets.
They're trying, but they have to get people to create it. They have to get us to create it. They have to get us to agree and allow, right? But if people wake up, their plans just disappear because this world is created by our minds, not theirs.
Right.
So they're manipulating our minds through the media, through entertainment. They're manipulating us to create the world that they want. We need to stop focusing on them.
Yes.
We can expose them. Don't just ignore them, but we need to start taking back our power. And one way to do that is get off of their map, get off of their globe, and get off of their fiat system, right? They control us with their, limiting our minds with the matrix, which is the globe, and controlling us with their fake money. We need to stop using their fake money. Get on a privacy crypto, not Bitcoin, okay? There's privacy cryptos out there like Monero and Pirate Chain, and there's others. And I'm not telling anyone what to buy or anything, but if everybody switched over to one of those, or even Epic Cash, which is another one, and there's a button on the app for that also, or there's a few others. If everyone did that, bam, they lost all control of the entire world. All of the Rothschilds, all of them, they're all done instantly, and we all have a non-inflatable true money system, right? People that hate crypto don't know what crypto is. They think FTX is crypto. That's not. That's banking. That's a scam. Okay? So I don't mean to take a side turn into the crypto world, but the crypto world is the only thing that can save us from them in the future.
I'm optimistic that we are going to go into a positive future. What do you think?
Oh, me too. Absolutely. 100%. I am. Maybe not everybody, but I am.
I agree. And I think it's very important that we are optimistic because we want to manifest that positive future, correct?
Manifesting it every day.
That's excellent. And I think it's very important to learn to control your thoughts. It sounds like you may have been doing some of that, but you make your thoughts neutral, positive, rather than negative, because negative thoughts tend to manifest the negative reality, correct?
100%. You are your own worst enemy. You're your only enemy.
Yes, that's very, very important. I think so. To control your thoughts, to manifest a positive reality. Now, I'm just amazed at how much information that you've absorbed, Dave. You just are stunning how much information you have.
It's when you focus on this all the time, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time. Is that a thing? Can you do something all of the time, all of the time? I think so. I think I just made that up. I like it. Right? Then you absorb a lot.
Definitely. So I guess I'm going to have to bite the bullet and get this app. I don't
bite the $3 bullet. You're gonna bite the no way, really?
No.
Oh my God! What sacrifice you're making?
Oh no, with me it's the small. I don't like cell phones because the screen size is so small.
Do you have an iPad?
No, but maybe I should get one.
It's beautiful on the iPad, and it's phenomenal. Yeah, love it on the iPad. Yep. A lot of people love it just for that daily video, and then the frequently asked questions, and then the images section helps them, like when they're trying to explain something to somebody. Boom, the images are right there at your fingertips. But the friend finder also is a whole other thing, and then people are like jumping on. You can create a group. I created a group called Puerto Morelos, Mexico, or Cancun, Mexico. I called it, and everyone. And I sent a group message out to everybody in the area. I said, "Hey, we're here. Let's have a meetup," and people showed up. I'm meeting actually somebody tonight for dinner. We're going out, and we're meeting a new person that just came into the area, and it's so fun. And everybody on there is a blue dot, and I always say I never met a blue dot I don't like.
They're making it harder to find your shows on Google.
That's why I say flatearthdave.com. And then in the app also, I have on the more resources page, which is the web button, the first button in that page is Dave's interviews. Doesn't matter what it's on, it'll always the video will always be in there. I mean the audio will always be, the video will always be there.
Are you on kind of a vacation right now?
Well, you know what the thing is, I am working right now. I'm doing what I do, and it doesn't matter where I do it from. So, next time you talk to me, maybe I'll be in Antarctica. Who knows?
Wow.
As long as I get good Wi-Fi there.
Have you ever studied the German saucers called the Hanabus?
I've heard about them and stuff, and these are just advanced electrostatic craft that are using, the true propulsion that we should be using now, right? They're
Right.
The whole idea of burning, the blood of the earth, the oil, to make explosions to push us along is absolute insanity. It's so dumb when we know that electrostatics work. They have maglev trains. That's the simplest thing, but. There's I have a video of this Russian guy that made this electrostatic mini saucer, and it flies. It flies just by putting a negative charge into it. And then if you can figure out how to pull that energy out of the air, out of the ether, well, then you got something that flies on free energy. It doesn't make any noise. It goes anywhere you want. Okay? Some of these old ships that we saw in old pictures, they have these tall masts with like this Antiquitech antennas on them and stuff like we see on the old buildings. Maybe these were electric ships, using the ether to power themselves, traveling all through the realm.
On the water?
Yeah.
Wow. In the 1800s?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And before.
I guess a lot of these cathedrals were also used for energy, right? Yes?
Some of them are still working today.
Wow. You kind of cut out there just a second. Have you heard about this hoaxed alien invasion?
We heard, Carol Werner von Braun's secretary say that the final card is going to be the fake alien invasion, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, they're going to do it with Project Bluebeam, and they're going to get everyone looking up. And they're looking up. They've got everyone looking up at the balloon because they're about to do it. And it's coming. I got my GMO-free popcorn and my my cup of tea ready to go. I can't wait for it. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be the funniest thing ever to watch people freak out over nonsense.
Absolutely.
So, bring it.
You were talking about the balloon, the Chinese balloon.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think? Is that nonsense? What do you think about that?
Well, so I don't know what the purpose was. Was it an accident where one of the NASA's balloons, got spotted? I think it's more likely that it was done just to distract people from everything else that's going on that they should be paying attention to. But, our balloon guy saying that is the wrong kind of balloon. It can't go to the altitude that they're saying. It can't. It physically can't. Therefore, it can't come from China the way they said it came from. And all of these big podcasts and news channels are still talking about it. They're like, why didn't we shoot it down over here or over here? Well, it doesn't exist. It can't come from China. The conversation's over, but no one is addressing the fact that it's the wrong kind of balloon. It's a wrong kind of balloon. It's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy, like if there was a car on an island. It's a horrible analogy. It's just that you can't drive a car to an island unless there's a bridge, right? So it would have to be a boat, right? Well, that balloon is a car. It can't go across the ocean, okay? It's the wrong kind of balloon. It can't go the distance and the height that they're saying. It doesn't work, right? So, and if it was at the height that they said, nobody would have seen it.
So this is kind of a made-up story or a psyop or something.
Yes.
Okay. So, do you think Russia will win the war in Ukraine pretty soon?
It's a stage show. You have to ask, what's his name? If I had the name at the tip of my tongue.
Zelensky?
No. I was going to make a reference to Al Pacino. Al Capone. Thank you. Who did the Wag the Dog? Who was the producer? Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, okay.
Right? Dustin Hoffman. Go watch Wag the Dog because that's what this war is. It's a real war. Something's going on, but it's fake. It's fake. Totally made. Yeah. Are they blowing up stuff over there? I don't know. I'm not there, but I think they are, and I think it's more of they're allowing like gangs and mafia to blow stuff up, and they're saying it's a war, right?
It's not. You're saying it's not really a war.
And look at Zelensky. He's an actor. That's not even a speculation. He's an actor. You know, the stuff that he was in, beforehand. You know that he played a role of an actor that became a president?
Really?
Yeah.
How strange. Totally strange.
Exactly what's going on right now. Again, this is all spellcraft. It's total nonsense. I just watched a video of him entering some like parliament type building, and there's like a row of people on both sides. He's walking down, and everyone's just clapping like seals, you know. And in one room, the next room, and the camera's going, and it's just like the door's open, everyone's clapping in through like 3 or 4 rooms. Just a bunch of staged nonsense with a bunch of barking, clapping seals, okay? And it's just nonsense. People just eat it up. The guy's in a war, but he's on talk shows. He's on games. I don't know. He's everywhere. He's at the Emmys. It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
He was at the Emmys?
I think he was at one of the award shows recently.
Unbelievable.
I don't even Emmys, Oscars, whatever it was. It's like so stupid. And I think he won an award too. He won an award for
what?
Like acting or for some acting award or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting my stories mixed up. Maybe I'm got too much stuff going on. So don't they have these biolabs that Putin's destroying? I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe in viruses as described.
Oh, that's an interesting point of view because a lot of these viruses they haven't isolated, correct?
All of them, none of them. What they are is just your body detoxing. And when it detoxes, it puts these particles out there. They call them viruses. No, that's detoxing. Okay? But those particles make you sick. That's because they're detoxing. They're freeing your system. Right? And when you get rid of all of them, you're better. Well, you got rid of the virus or the toxins. Okay? That's all it is. That's all it is. And I would like to put this on YouTube, so I'm not going to talk much more about that.
Okay. I really like the work of Dr. Tom. I think it's Tom Cowan.
Yeah, Tom Cowan. Maybe he's a flat earther too. Maybe he is. maybe I know something. Maybe I don't. Who knows?
I'm amazed that you can still put stuff on YouTube.
Well, they need it for some reasons. You put flat Earth stuff on there and you can't find it unless you know how to find it. And like if you search flat Earth and you sort by upload date, at least you'll get some of the real stuff. But you can't find, all my stuff is shadow banned, all of the stuff. But that's why the app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay, bypasses all those algorithms, gives you all the information you need to make up your own mind, to free your mind from the heliocentric matrix.
BitChute is pretty good as well.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah. I have all of my my stuff on my other website is hosted on BitChute. So
there we go.
FlatEarthDave.com, everybody. FlatEarthDave.com. Everything's there. Book me there. Book Dave. FlatEarthDave.com.
Thanks, Dave. Great job as always. Bye-bye.
All right, man. Thanks. Bye-bye.